And welcome back to another Not a Strong Start. You are with us with the podcast with filmmakers who talk about film, TV, and honestly, whatever the hell we want to talk about. I will be your host today, D'Cuz.
And I'm gonna be, I can't really be the contrarian because it's just you and me talking. But I feel like I am the contrarian to most of the world when it comes to this topic. But anyway, I'm pickled garlic.
This bonus episode will be about the movie Sinners. It may seem like us as a channel that talks about movies all the time is getting to this pretty late, but it feels still relevant because I don't know how it's been for you, but I've noticed that on the social medias that it's been still blowing up everywhere. Like I'm constantly seeing conversations on X or on Threads about this movie. Like the ballerina just came out, and I've seen no one talking about that, but I still see loads of conversations about this film. And so since you just watched it and we were kind of talking about it in our solo chats, we're just like, wait, let's just pop some cameras on and get face to face on this. Because for those of you who don't know, me and the rest of the guys on the team loved this movie. It was like nines across the board, almost a 10 for all of us. Little things that we had issues with. But when you came to us, it was this feeling of like, what movie did you guys watch? Because I may have saw something
Yeah,
differently. So to
yeah.
get into this, I figured I'd curated a small set of questions just to see what your mindset was before you started watching this movie.
Okay.
And my first query is, are you familiar with the Coogler filmography? Have you seen other films from Ryan Coogler? Like, no, no,
No,
no.
I I wait. I don't think so because I didn't really even hey, this is how bad I am. I'm so bad. Um, I yes, I love watching movies. They're like entertainment. I'm not like a huge like these guys are more like, oh, by the director and everything. I was like, I'll watch a movie not even knowing who the director really is, or I wouldn't even look up who directed it. I forgot who directed this movie. I when I was watching the movie, I was like, this feels like a Jordan Peele movie in a way with like a script
Okay.
and the writing, not really, except for Jordan Peele movies, I think are a little more artistic and in ways, except this movie had beautiful shots, but there's something different about Jordan Peele's artistry, I will say, that I think I actually appreciated more. Maybe his movies feel more cohesive. I don't know. But there was still something about not the script, not even the script, like the context of the movie. It was just the way words were coming out of people's mouths or like just the word choices. I don't know. But I was like, this feels like this kind of movie, like his movie, but I'm like, I don't know who even directed this. I could have been a female. I had no clue. And then I looked it up way later and I'm like, okay, I haven't seen what do you do? Black Panther
Most
and
famously, Black Panther, Creed, Fruitvale Station, those types of
okay,
films.
so
They're
no,
all
I
films that
haven't.
they are message driven, but and it's very on the surface of whatever the topic is. While with Jordan Peele, I feel like
Right.
there's more of a subtext, and you kind of have to like peel back the layers to see what he's trying to say. But
Oh,
very equal in what they're trying to present, I feel.
okay. I feel like yeah, Jordan Peele is more. This is like a this is a thing I have a problem I had with the movie. Not a problem because on one point I love that the message wasn't like driven hard, but at the same time I feel like what there was too much stuff going on where I'm like, is there a message? If there is a message, it feels like it's really hard for me to explain the storage because I like that it wasn't like a heavy message of like certain messages that Jordan Peele's is maybe. It felt more light, I guess, but at the same time, I'm like, this is like a pretty thematic, like this is like where it's taking place, the era, all this stuff. But I felt like every theme that was trying to come through was a little bit lost because there was too many.
Okay.
Like I had a hard time feeling the identity of this movie is something I will say.
Well, I guess that's a good follow-up then for this because I'm curious, like, what were your expectations going into
Mm,
this? Because I know speaking for myself,
hmm
this was a new genre for this director. You know, a lot of the stuff he's done has been more drama driven, or even if there's action, then it's kind of like high octane action. Like you think of a Black Panther where it's just like colorful Marvel stuff. Creed has that sports action thing going on, you know, but no matter what, there's
Right.
always a drama aspect to it. And so now coming into horror, I was like, oh my God, he's gonna do a horror and vampires. We're obviously all for horror in our crew, and vampires are
Hmm.
always dope. So I'm just like, oh
Hmm.
man, I can't wait to see what he does with the horror genre. So I was expecting a very dark, gritty horror film. What were you anticipating?
There also is someone that we both, well, you probably know them better than me, but we both know ish and follow on Instagram. And that was Augustino posted a review a long time ago.
Yeah,
And he said that the director was a Tarantino wannabe. And so I'm expecting Tarantino vibes going into this movie, which I got none. So maybe I had a
yeah,
little, like none at all, none, like none at all. So maybe I was expecting a little bit of that kind of feel. And I love Quentin Tarantino movies, like some of my favorites. So I was like excited for that. And then I didn't get it, which I didn't need that. But maybe I had a built-in expectation just from that one thing. But I also thought it was going to be dark and gritty. And I was ready to, okay, I had a whole thought of what I wished the movie was after I watched it, which I thought would have been, we can talk about that later if you want. I wanted them actually to utilize the subcontext a little more, but then it was like, oh, but it's about music in a way. And I was like, oh, okay, I wasn't even expecting that aspect. I don't know if I didn't see much trailers or reviews. Like I kind of try not to, so I wasn't expecting the whole music. So the music aspect made me excited, but then I was like, okay, but it's focusing on that, but then it's going to vampires, but then it's kind of like racism, but then it's kind of like this stuff, and I'm like, okay, I can't focus on what you're trying to give me and I can't feel anything because there's too many things you're giving me and I don't know what you're trying to say. And then it wasn't dark and gritty and there was trying to be like comedy in it, but the comedy wasn't coming through. Like I wasn't feeling it at all. I was just like, okay, and it was a lot more hokey than I expected, I guess. Like there's like
really?
cheesy
Okay.
hokiness to it, 100%. And I was just like, ah, and I was just like, oh, that's, and there was like kind of jokes trying to be made, and I was like, oh, I didn't feel it. It didn't come through. I didn't get it. I don't know why. I just, not that I didn't get it. I got it, but I got what was happening. I'm like, I guess this is supposed to be a joke, and this is not. And it didn't. I was like, okay, it wasn't my thing. And then the dark grittiness didn't feel dark or gritty either.
Okay, well then that answers exactly. I was gonna ask you like, did anything live up to what you were expecting? But it sounds like nothing did. It sounds like it all missed
Um,
the mark on what you were looking for, or not looking for, but anticipating.
No, I mean, I will say, if you're asking if anything live up to anything, I mean, there was some really beautiful shots in it, wide shots. I love the shots of all the fields, the sunsets, like all the stuff. I thought some of the filming, like those type of shots,
Yeah.
were beautiful. Like I really loved all that. I also adore the setting. And I like the kind of like period pieces, and I consider that like a period piece.
For
It's like a
sure,
different
yeah.
era in time, and I love that movies in that era. I just love when you like feel the heat and you can
Yes.
feel oh just like it's a whole vibe, and I love movies that take place in that era and in that setting, and absolutely. So that I was like totally down for. And I did like the music in it. Of course, like George and I talk about music all the time. Like
Yeah.
it's like I was like I was so excited for like this bluesy um raw soulful music. I was like, hell yeah, I'm gonna love that aspect. And I did. Okay, I'll leave it at that
And I
for now.
did dot dot
And I
dot.
did. I'll leave it
Yeah.
at that
I'm
for a
glad you brought the scenery
second.
thing because like that was like a note that I had with when I was just watching the movie in the theaters, and I had to write it down. Like I wrote this down a while ago because it stuck with me when the
Mhm.
movie came out, and I was
Mhm.
like, the scenery shots were like sweaty Norman Rockwell vignettes. Like that's
Hell
what it
yeah.
made me feel like.
Yeah. Like you can feel, yeah.
Last question before we start getting into our specifics of the movie, and that is, would you want to see more from this world? Like if there was an expansion
Oh,
of this? Because you said you had there were certain things you expected, and there's things that you wish they would have done. So like maybe an
mm.
expansion of it could rectify some of those things that you were looking for.
Maybe I don't see how they can expand it since I'm guessing everyone who would watch this have seen the movie, but spoiler alert, everyone dies. And I don't
Well,
know how they can.
not everyone.
Well, not I know not everyone, but you know what I mean by dies. But
Yeah.
like I don't know. I feel like I could watch any vampire movie and be okay. I don't know. I don't need those characters again.
Okay.
I don't really need like I like vampire movies and I think the vampire is cool, but I don't know this just I have a couple questions to ask you.
Okay.
What did I miss? Like what like no. Okay, I'm watching the movie. It starts off talking about more like people, almost like people who are like have music, they're like musically inclined, something to do with music, right?
Yeah.
So it starts, right? And how are they portraying musically people with a musical gift in them in the movie? And why did the vampires want, especially like the main, what's his name? Nate,
Sammy?
Nate, Sammy.
Sammy.
What Nate? Who's Nate?
I don't
Why would they?
know.
So why did and then why did they want Sammy so much? And why did they
Right. Let me check. I got that name right.
apparently? Yeah, I think it is Sammy. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Apparently, they want him so bad that they're
Yeah.
going to find him 6 years later, even though I don't know why it took them 60 years because that the vampires can see your feelings and could see how you feel. Vampires knew that Sammy wanted to go to Chicago. He's been talking about this since the beginning of the movie with his cousin and he wants to go to Chicago. So why did it take them 60 years to go find him in Chicago when they knew where he was? And then when they found him, like, why did they want him so bad? And like, what was it? Was it about like music and like the devil, selling your soul to the devil? Like, what was the correlation between the vampires and the music? Is my question. What did I?
Okay. Well, to clarify for the listeners, because the thing you're referring to specifically at the end of your statement there
Oh
was
yes, yeah.
is when Stack, I believe, Stack and
Mm-hmm.
Mary, uh at
Mm-hmm.
the end of the movie, there's like I don't even want to
Yeah.
call it a post-credit scene. It's just like the 10 credits pop up and you see this extra scene, which really ends the film. And we're in the 1980s now and Stack and Mary, I don't get the sense that they've taken forever to look for him. I think they've always been aware of him and what he's been doing.
Mm-hmm.
And they're
Mm-hmm.
just like more like paying their respects, I think, in that moment. So I don't think that last scene connects in the way that the opening scene did, saying like how these I'm gonna call them sirens because that's what it kind of feels like. These certain people who are so connected to music in a soulful way, they're like sirens that they can attract greater beings like vampires, and they made it seem like just not just vampires, but just like dark beings would be attracted to them and like their call. That's what I got from that thing, and
Mm. But
and
it's
so
never
like
explained. Like nothing's ever like
of
it's
like
just kind
why
of like
of
this
why they
person.
came back to him.
Yeah, or like why these people are attracted to people with music that much, or do they
Well,
ever
like in
like
the
go
begin
into
the
it, or?
beginning, they kind of just say just because of like their music is just so strong, like they're so attuned to the music that they produce that it connects on like almost an ethereal plane, like the spiritual
Mm-hmm.
plane. And since these beings are like on a different plane than the living, they kind of connect to it and it just brings them to it. Like they're almost feeding off of it. So it's almost like there's this secondary vampirism kind of thing going on where like they just latched
Okay.
onto it. And from what I got from Remic's character, and the reason he wanted him is that by maybe getting him, it'll bring him back to something that he knew before. Like it just brings him closer to this thing that was lost to him. Like maybe it's life, like it's a life source, because they are undead, so
Hmm.
there is a bit of life that they have lost. So maybe this connects them to that again. Because he says it's like I want to hear the music of my home again or something that I'm paraphrasing. So
Hmm.
that's what I got from that. That's very like the surface level stuff. That's not so much about the racism and other things.
See, I didn't find that to be the surface level stuff. I found that to be like that's the point of the movie, and I feel like that point of the movie was more so that than anything. But it was kind of lost in all the other stuff thrown on it. I was just kind of like, what are you saying? Like, what are you trying to say? Because you're saying all these other things, and there's so many characters, and everyone had their own little thing. I'm like, I can't, like, I want to feel what the feeling is for this movie, and I can't do it because I don't know what you're trying to say, and I can't focus on what the feeling is because there's all this other stuff happening And I just like I couldn't get immersed at all in any of the stories or people. Like there was
Okay.
no immersion for me to happen. Maybe it was just so broad and I really like to find like focus fine on something so I can really be like attached. Like I want to be the vampire. Like I'm like the vampire. I'm like I want to focus and attach myself on this aspect of the story and suck the life and like feel its life source. I didn't feel a life source to the movie that for me to attach onto because there was too many factors and I didn't know. Maybe that's good because like I think a lot of people could watch it and there's something for everybody. You know what I mean? Like there's a little
Yeah.
bit of something for everybody in there.
I'm curious because we always state like, we're in America and you're in Canada, and
Hmm.
like that storyline for like us, we're deeply connected to it. Just like it,
Hmm.
it take out the vampire aspect and just the idea of like a Jim Crow South, the Mississippi, and where like there's the
Hmm.
segregation between the
Hmm.
African Americans and the white population. And not just that, but like you see like we have Chinese Americans in there, and there's some hint of Mexicans because they show a tamale shop or whatever it is, So it's like
Hmm.
this town has a little subculture of different races, and like this is the life they live. So like for like us, we're so connected to that, and especially with races always at the forefront of every conversation nowadays. There's a lot of things that's very prevalent for us, and so like if it feels like there's a bunch of little stories, for us there's one story. Even though there's a bunch of different characters, they're all leading
Hmm.
the same story, so it doesn't feel as convoluted, I guess. And I'm speaking for myself, of course. Like I could be very wrong towards how everyone else feels, you know. But I
Hmm.
think that's how I took it. And so in turn, I'm seeing there is a cultural tale that was depicted for this timeline, and it makes sense for that timeline. Like, I'm glad he did it in that moment, as opposed to trying to tell that same story today. I feel like it wouldn't have fit because it wouldn't have made sense. Like that, you can't pretend like we're super segregated now because we're not. Like that town wouldn't exist. You'd have everyone, mixed together there, and we'd all be cool with each other. You wouldn't have a married
Hmm.
character being like, "I want to be with you, but I can't because you black." That's such a small piece of communities nowadays that you don't really see them. So it's like I feel like it
Hmm.
made sense for that time. And then in turn you can have that vampire story play against it. I think me and you are on the same thing where like I felt also that the vampire story wasn't as fleshed out as everything else. I felt like it needed
No,
some
and
more things.
I, f- I feel like there's an opportunity to have the vampire story so good,
Yeah. Yes.
so good. And even I get maybe it's the music thing that's just like to me like
I love the music. The
right,
music
I love
aspect
the
I
music
loved so
too.
much.
Like maybe the movie could have been like an extra hour or something so we can really feel everything
I've
that the
actually
director is
seen
trying to
some
say.
complaints. I've seen some complaints saying that maybe we could have used another 30 minutes or so. And you know what?
Just
I
something.
could have lived another 30 minutes in that world. I would have loved it. I would be good with
See the
that.
world, like I said, the world and the era and everything, and about me like being Canada and stuff. Like I mean, there's terrible shit that happened here too. That there's tons of movies about too, and you watch and it's like
Oh,
mostly
for
about
sure. Yeah,
Indigenous
yeah.
people and stuff, and you get like connected and everything. But I mean, I've watched other movies that have the same era, the same time and
Yeah.
everything, and I'm like in it. And so it's like and I can feel it and I'm like, holy shit, you know what I mean? It's just this one. It's just this one. Okay, anyways, I have I have my I have my reasons
Yeah,
as to what and
lay it
there's
on me.
well, okay, well, see, I like the music aspect and I understand like the music tying people together. It gives people a space. It gives people, but then it kind of was painting music in like this negative light in a sense because the music like attracts the negative spirits. And okay, I get that's what the movie was trying to do, but even though I didn't really feel that's what was going on because I'm like I don't get it, but to me, it's like music's bringing the people together, but I guess it can attract negative spirit, negative whatever. What do they call them? Hates. What was it? Smoke's wife. What did she call him?
Oh, I can't remember now. I
It's like
watched it in the theater like
haint
when
or
it came
hate or
out, so
something.
yeah. But I know
Yeah,
what you're talking
she
about
was my
though.
favorite character, by the way. Smoke's wife. I'm assuming they're married, but she was my absolute favorite character.
Yeah.
I was just like, yeah, you need someone to have that spiritual connection. Because when shit goes down and it's weird, it's because it's otherworldly. And so she was my favorite.
Yeah.
But
No,
anyway,
she's a wonderful actress. I first saw
yeah,
her in
she was
the
great.
was it called? The Lovecraft Country. If you haven't
Okay.
seen that, that's worth watching. It's a good
Mm-mm.
series.
Yeah, she was great. I that was my favorite aspect, I think, of the movie. But and then they have that one scene where Sammy's playing and they're talking about how like music transcends like time and space. And then they have like the break dancers and the DJ and the twerking and everything. And I was like, I know what you're doing, but again, I can it broke the immersion for me in that world in that era. I'm like, why don't you just
Ah,
have the music sound? Like, why don't you just have like the beat come in and everything? But like seeing it, I was like, I personally didn't like it. I did feel like a music video, I guess, which is cool.
okay.
But there's certain parts in the movie that felt kind of just like out of place, and it didn't have a it didn't have a cohesion to the movie. And then that scene was like, and I love all those that style of music. I love all that stuff. Like I just don't like I'm like yes, but I but seeing it, I'm like okay. There's so many things that were a little too on the nose in this movie. Where even there was a scene where Smoke and his wife, and they're like, "We have someone waiting for us in the afterlife." It was like, "Shoot to the grave of the baby." It's like, okay, you don't have to show it. We know who you're talking about. Like, you don't have to be like, we know the person waiting for you in the afterlife is their dead child. You don't have to be like, okay, gotta show the audience, shoot to the grave. And I'm like, okay, it was just too like, in case you don't know, let's just show the audience this. And I'm like, okay, I get it. Like, you don't have to show us. Anyway, that part that part, even though I understand what they were doing, showing us visually all the different music through the generations and stuff, I was just like, I want to be in the world. I want to be in there. I want to be like enveloped in it. And I want if I hear something, fine. But like, just this is me personally. This is just me
Yeah.
a personal thing because I know a lot of people probably loved it. Like George is like, oh, because I'm guessing you loved that scene.
There's a reason why I like it. Yes. There's
Go, let's hear.
well, here's how I translated that scene. And it goes back to like what it was saying in the opening of the movie, where it's like
Hmm.
this is his music is connecting through the generations. So it's like it's not just like
Hmm.
showing like all the generations had this cool music and that these each of these things connected. It's like no, he's summoning all of those things. So like all those things are
Hmm.
spirits. Like those are musical spirits that are in that room with them. And it's so deep that it's
Hmm.
even bringing in music from the future. Like that's also
Yeah.
connected. So it's like this invisible thread that's going through everything,
Hmm.
and they're all being
Hmm.
brought through. And he talked about like the music brings like the bad things to them, but like this is the good that
Hmm.
it's bringing. So it's like music is so
Hmm.
powerful that it brings the good spirits, and it's going to bring the bad spirits too. But it's but that neither side is necessarily good or bad. Like I didn't even see the vampires as bad things. The vampires just in a different entity, and it's just and it's
Hmm.
there because it's connected to that music. That music is so powerful and so deep that it wants to be a part of it too, just like all those spirits are a part of it. And like,
Hmm.
sure, it could have just played the music of the different timelines, but would it have connected then as much if you didn't see the Indian dance, like the Native American dancers, the Asian dancers?
Hmm.
Like, if you didn't see all those people there, would it have been portrayed as well? Because then I could see the critique being, let's like, okay, why did they throw hip hop in there? Why was there techno in there? Why was it? Why was this in there? He's not playing that music. Why is that there? Like, I can see people having that complaint, because that
Hmm.
complaint happens nowadays when people see hip hop in a trailer, you know. And they're like, why was there hip hop in the Gladiator 2 trailer? Yeah, you know,
Well,
they see stuff like that and they're just like, I don't get it. But if you have that visual representation, it's like, okay, I understand what's happening here. And that's for
hmm.
me. That's how I saw it and how I broke down
Hmm.
that moment. Plus how the whole scene was shot, that the choreography for that scene to be done must took forever
Hmm.
to put that together. So just that
Hmm.
aspect too is just so beautiful how the camera had to weave its way through all those people dancing and the music playing and all that stuff. Not to mention that the actor who's playing the music, he's a musician. This is his first role acting. He's never been in any
I
movies, never done any TV
I
shows.
felt
This is
that.
his first thing. And
Hmm.
I thought he was just chef's kiss. Like he stole the show for me personally. Like he's having
Hmm.
to improv at times with A-list actors who are freaking top of their game and to just be holding his own with them.
I wondered about that, and I felt that, and I totally understand why they put the visual aspect in it. I understand why. Totally. Just like I said, personal thing. It wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. That's all. And I do like the camera
Yeah.
work. You're right, the camera work and everything. Or maybe there, I don't know. Maybe it just felt too. out of nowhere just I don't know. I didn't want I love watching movies that take place in a different era because I don't want to see shit that has to do with modern time. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe it just like I don't know, it's just personal thing. That's it. That's it. I get why they did
You
it
want to be taken
100%,
out of the
but
current world that you're in.
I want to escape. Oh yeah, I want to be taken out. I want to be put into that era. I want to be in there totally immersed into something. And like when I watch a movie, I'm really particular, so I don't go to the movie theater because I don't want people talking in my shit. I don't want like I want to be totally immersed into a movie. And I if things like break that immersion, it's my personal thing where I get annoyed where I'm like, ah, I'm not in this movie anymore. I'm not in. I'm out now. I'm back. I'm like, I don't know. That's a personal thing. That's just how I am when I watch
Yeah.
movies. I'm very particular. I'm really annoying. I know.
Let me ask you this. What if the scene was
Yeah.
edited in a different way? What if it was edited in a way where like he's playing his song, right? And
Hmm.
then the scene transitions, like the location kind of morphs into like an Indian tribal, like Native American tribal area. So like he's playing his guitar and then it just switches over and you see that the things they're playing the drums and the music will change into that thing. Like there might be like an
Hmm.
underlining of like his like dun, 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 dun. I'm making up a song. I don't know what song it was at this point in time, but but it's doing that
Hmm.
dun, 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 and all of a sudden you get that boom ticka 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 doom ticka ticka ticka, going into that and you see the dancing of the natives and then the
Hmm.
scene transitions and like so the land will stay the same but everything else is kind of changing around it and turning into like that timeline. It's almost as if that land is staying solid, but everything that the spirit, the soul of the music is always there in the land, just beating.
Yeah.
And you're going through that change. Like, would that feel better as opposed to seeing them all shoved into that room?
Yeah. Or it could have been even them not being 100% tangible. Like maybe it's like they look not really there, you know?
Okay,
Like
more
they're at like
spirit like.
yeah, like because we're talking about that, right? In the spirit world
Yeah, yeah,
maybe. Or maybe it's like he's playing it and like everything comes like how you remember how everything's on fire at the end
yeah, yeah,
of
yeah,
that song?
yeah.
Maybe that happens first and coming that part coming down around him and then it's like doing this thing and you can see the different eras and different cultures around him in like a spirity form and they're coming to him and he's feeling all from past and present and future instead of it was almost like I want to see it more. Okay, you know what I wanted here, he was the main focus of the movie because
Yes, yes. He's the
which I
protagonist. Yeah.
yes, which I don't it I didn't feel who the hell I'm supposed to care about in this movie a lot of the time. I'm like, who's the because I cared about Smoke and his wife the most because I can but that's me being relating to like a mother and like having the dead.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I was like, okay, I relate to them and I care about their story and that's who I was mostly attached to. I wanted to be attached to the protagonist of who it was supposed to be about because at the end you find out oh it's his story the most and I'm like, okay, if they I really wanted to feel his struggle with how badly he wanted to be a musician and how it was kind of frowned upon maybe by his dad and like how it was so in his soul that when he played he felt the past and present and future and the every other thing and it was coming to him and that's what he felt when he played and that's why he was so attached to music and why he felt like that was his destiny and like that was what his soul was and at the time you don't feel I didn't feel it was about him and what he felt playing the music but I feel like if everything comes down around him and then you see like all these things and he's feeling them the past present future and then it's like okay and then I'm like dude I want this guy to succeed because look how much he feels the music he's feeling this so hard I'm like fuck his preacher dad I want this guy to be famous I want him to like go on and like have this music career because that's what his soul feels and that's his destiny and I kind of didn't even feel that in the movie that much. I guess he's holding on. He wanted to keep that guitar and stuff, but also he has the emotional attachment to the guitar because it was like his cousin's dad's guitar, which you find out. I feel like there's things just sprinkled in here and there. It's like, oh, we were in the war, we are in the army, and like, oh, I have these guns here. And I'm like, what is the story? You know what I
Listen
did
to it.
love? I did really love that when Sammy takes that woman back and he wants to do that And I'm like, no, 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 you got it's all sweaty there. You gotta go clean. And she's like, I gotta go wash up. And
Yeah.
he's like, no. And I'm like, this is gonna be the last time you do this, buddy. Because
Right, it's your first time. You don't want to start off bad, you know?
no. And like she's just been
Uh,
dancing in the hot heat all day. Like, no, no,
yeah,
no, 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 no,
yeah.
no, 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 no. Let the woman wash up. She wants this experience to be good for you. And it didn't have you know, it's okay to each their own. Some people
And
might like
back
that.
then, there's no Brazilian waxing, all right? That's au natural.
Yeah,
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 for
yeah.
upstairs
Added
and
with the sweat
downstairs.
and the yeah, yeah. Everything is yeah. Anyway, I like that she wanted to go wash up because my
Yeah,
first
no,
thought was like,
that was real. That was
no,
real.
no, sorry.
I had a different take. I found myself caring about every character. And even
Mm,
from the smallest amount of screen time to the largest, like I found like every character I felt for them. Like I felt for Remick, like even his journey. Like if anything, I wish we saw more of him, but a good villain you
yeah.
usually see less of course, you know. But I feel like we could have used just a tad bit more of interaction with him, but I felt for like, there's something he wanted to connect to. Like he was looking for family. You could see he's by himself when we first get introduced to him. So like he's lost his humanity. Who knows how long that was. But now whatever family he's had since is also lost. So, like maybe he had a vampire family and they've all got taken away from him. So now he's trying to rebuild that. And he can feel himself being summoned by this musical source, and maybe this is going to bring him that family again. So I felt for him and what he's yearning for. And like everyone, like I felt for the kid. Obviously Sammy, like I said, standout character. I understood that thing that he had, even though I don't come from a preacher family of sorts, but everyone was young at once. Everyone had some overbearing something in their life that was holding them back. For him it's his dad. And I got everything I needed. I didn't need any more told to me about like the uncle and how he was a bad guy and that guitar used to be his, and like even though it's not enough, it doesn't seem like a lot of information. I got a lot out of it where it's like, all right, man, imagine this preacher man who had a brother and the brother was a bad guy. Like he was bad to his sons, he was abusive, who knows what other bad things he did. And the one thing he was good at was that guitar, but he probably played some blues, and blues is like rock and roll, and it's seen as a devil's music because you got to think at that time that's what it was. Like it was not a godly type of music. It wasn't the gospels. You're singing about things that are naughty,
Mm,
naughty to them. And it goes off the
mm,
beaten path. And he didn't want his son becoming that. He saw that the what could come from that. So he connects that guitar with something bad. So every time his son
mm,
plays it, he's going down a path that he's already seen his brother go down, and he doesn't want that for him. So like I saw all that from that whole thing, and like and him leaving anyway and go and becoming his own man, and proving that what, I can still be a good person. We assume he led a good life. We fast forward and he's
yeah.
already old, but like he's successful. Like he's living his dream, and I like to think that nothing bad happened. Like he just led a good life and created the music he wanted to create because he's telling his story. He's not telling what the story that people think he's going to tell. So like I got all that from that Smokes and Stacks
Mm,
thing. I got the brothers who are just trying to do the best with what they got, and just make their way in this world that doesn't want them to win. Because that was a time where like being of a colored person, there is no winning. No matter where they came back from a war where they're not appreciated, because no African American or anyone who came from World War II was respected when they came back. And they gave their lives for nothing to some extent. Unlike the other Americans, were just like, hey, you're a hero. These guys were not heroes. The only thing they had to come back to was a life of crime. So that I get them trying to just get out of that the best way they can. If anything, the only thing that I felt was just like could be seen as a little bit forced, but still made sense for the time was the KKK thing, where it's just like I knew it was gonna happen, but it was just like I didn't need it. Like if that scene didn't happen, I still would have been okay, I
mm,
think. If
mm,
Smoke just ended up with his wife and kid at the end, I would have been okay. But at the same time, because we didn't get enough vampire action, I was like, I need to see a melee of someone getting like taken out. So this is the best I got. I'll take it. But like I could have used more vampire action as opposed to that. I think that was a gripe I had there.
mm.
But yeah, but like I felt a connection with everybody. Like I really was feeling everyone's story. Like, if anything, there was little things that happened that I was really feeling that I feel like no one addresses or talks about. And and one of those things
Like,
was like the Asian family. Like, you had the Chinese parents who left their daughter at the shop. They're dead.
hmm
That daughter has no idea what happened to her parents. The next day is gonna happen, and she's gonna open up shop and be like, "Where the hell are my parents at?" Days are gonna pass, and she's never gonna know what happened to her parents. Like that little girl now owns two shops. And like who knows what the hell her life is gonna look like. Like her life is flipped totally
hmm
upside down. And she didn't even want to be there. Like she had the typical like I know that girl. I grew up with that girl, like in the sense of who that girl was. Because when you see the shops and her attitude of just like, I don't want to be here. It's like I don't want to be at work at the shops. Like I want to be with my friends or whatever. So many people I went to school with, like Vietnamese and Cambodians, their parents owned a corner store and they'd have to work at that corner store and they would be so upset and just begrudging to that life, but they're being taught something. They're being given morals that they had no idea. you know. But like
hmm
I felt for that girl and it's like you don't know what's gonna happen to her now. Like her life is just screwed. So that there's that little aspect that just like it's just in the background that no one's gonna think about. But I thought about it and it's just like, oh man, that poor girl. That poor girl.
hmm
So yeah.
Yeah. I guess okay, this is what I'm thinking. Um, this is 100% then purely personal preference because I love me a tight knit, small scale, intimate story. And maybe for me, too many, maybe it's like ADD shit with my brain, where it's like there's too many people. I can't, how do I connect when there's so many people? Like I like it's about in even when I watch movies, I'm like, there's an intimacy that I'm like, okay, I'm in it. I'm in it with you, movie. I want like I prefer and feel connected to tighter, smaller stories sometimes, depending. Especially if there's a main focus on like certain characters. And I guess for me, it was too scattered with the how many characters they were, their storylines, the lack of backstory for certain characters or all the characters, the lack of any character development in most characters that I could see, and also the difference in like tone and theme and um I don't plot, but it was just like this is the different themes in the movie. It was just too much where I couldn't focus on one because my brain was and my feelings were too spread out. And I think that's just how I am as a movie viewer. Like I just that's just it. I think it's just how I connect with film and maybe anything is like there's got to be like an intimacy and I didn't feel that like draw or like connection to
To
anything
anyone.
because it was just too much. It was too much. And I think that's like an ADD thing, but my brain is too um yeah, and also there was like also the themes of like comedy, action, horror, thriller, musical. Like it was just everything about this movie was too scattered and too just the concepts and I can't it lacked like a depth even though maybe I was supposed to like just I because you're explaining it to me in ways where it's like, oh yeah, totally, I can see how you would feel that way.
Yeah.
But it was just too choppy, convoluted, I guess. It felt like four movies in one kind of, and I was like, I don't know which movie I'm watching or which one I'm supposed to be attached to.
It's
Yeah.
interesting. It's just I'm curious,
hmm
like would like a second viewing change things, or would it just intensify all these feelings?
I think
Because you
at the
know how Dan
core of
is. Like
it,
Dan always talks about like,
hmm
that second viewing opinion where like the first
hmm
viewing isn't enough for him, where he needs that second viewing to totally really
hmm
kind of like analyze things over again because now he can like focus on different things like, in a different way.
maybe. I could. I might watch it again someday. We'll
Yeah,
see.
because it's not going to be
I
anytime
might.
soon with how you feel about it.
Well, not yet, but then also like I asked like my friend Caitlin, like, are you watched it? I didn't like it, and she watched it and she loved it. I'm like, hey, there's something wrong with me. Like I there's something wrong with me. I can't. And then there was like that, oh man, I have it in my notes as the Wish version of the Thing scene with the garlic. And I just I was like, okay, this is like the thing where they're like, we gotta test each other's blood to
Yeah,
make sure we're
yeah,
not the thing. It's
yeah,
like, okay, we gotta eat the garlic and make sure we're not a vampire. And then one girl's like, I don't want to eat the garlic, and I'm like, okay, and the guy's like, gonna throw it. He's like, oh, is he changing? And I'm like, no, he's drunk. He's puking. I guess that was
yeah.
supposed to be comedic. I don't know. I didn't get that comedy. I'm like, this is cheesy, but. And they're so like, okay, we gotta make the steaks and we gotta eat the garlic. And I was like, this is so like vampire 101. Like it was just maybe it was just too
I
mouthful.
mean, I feel like
Like,
doesn't every vampire movie have something like that though, right? Like, look like From Dusk Till Dawn. Like they have their moment that's like that when they're in
yeah,
like the storage room and they're getting ready and stuff.
yeah, I don't care for the second half from Dusk Till Dawn. Like once the vampires actually like come like start being vampires, that's when I'm like,
You're
I
checked
love
out.
the whole Quentin. I like the whole Quentin Tarantino first half, and then when it swaps over, I'm like, eh. I kind of like okay, but like I don't know. Maybe there's something about cheesy vampire movies, or I'm not into. I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe. I'm curious if there's still one more thing like for me that was like a big thing. That was big to me
Oh,
that no one's addressed. I'm wondering if you caught it too.
okay. There's a couple like nitpicky things I have
This
where I
that's how
was
it's for me.
like,
This is a nitpick because it doesn't make
okay.
it a bad movie to me. It's just like a nitpick where it's just like
Mhm.
for me as a horror fan, I had a
Oh,
complaint. Yeah. That no
oh,
one
what
else is
was
talking
it?
about because they're all just obsessed with the race. Everyone's just talking about like race this, race that. It's like, forget the race thing. Did you guys forget about the vampires in the movie? We've addressed that the bonus scene at the end. We have
Mhm.
Stack and Mary, who are vampires now. They come back and they visit Sammy as he's older and everything. He has cancer. They're gonna
Yeah.
they gave him the offer like, hey, we could take that away. You could become one of us. And but the thing is like, how did they get there? Well, we had that flashback moment where we see that Stack and Smoke are fighting each other, and Smoke could have killed him and released him
Yeah.
from this curse, but he doesn't, and he just tells me he's like, promise me that you'll leave Sammy alone, and pretty much like, and I'll let you live. And plus, he's his brother, like they're
Hmm.
twins, so there's that connection. And he makes the promise. He's like, all right, and then he takes Mary, and then they bounce. And I was like, wait a second earlier when the because this movie is giving us its rules, and the rules depicted earlier are that once you're a vampire, Remick has control over you. Like they're almost like
Hmm.
a hive mind, or
Hive,
of
yeah.
sorts. You know what I mean? Like how ants work to some extent. And so it's just like he's the head. You can't do anything without his control. And you got that
Hmm.
sense when like the sun was coming up, or when Remick got hurt, they all got hurt, but like
Hmm.
Stack and Mary were fine. And it's like, what made them different? How did they separate themselves from everyone else? Like I did, like that part made no sense to me. There's no explanation. It broke the for you said you lost some immersion. That broke the immersion for me. That broke everything. It's like that doesn't fit within the thing you just created. Like
Yeah.
so, I want to know what made them special. And it's just like, and if Sammy's like music is so powerful and so strong that it makes them come to him, how were they able to just not be taken over by his music? And but they visited him like nothing, like everything's cool, and
Yeah.
they're not there to feed on anybody. They're just working within this world as vampires, like the vampires that we know from every other vampire lore. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That they just do whatever the hell they want, as opposed to what we saw earlier, which is like, oh no, you guys are you know driven by this one person or one vampire, and you all want this one thing, which is the music and blood. You want that. There's nothing else. But they didn't seem like they could have came out of Blade with how they were acting, you know. And at that part was just like that makes no sense to me. Someone explain this.
Yeah.
Like, did you forget you're making a vampire movie? And that's where I felt like it's like, yeah, you could take the vampire thing out of it because there's definitely not a full understanding of how to have all that stuff work. And again, maybe it's because I'm a horror fan and I've watched too many vampire movies and read too many vampire books, you know. But yeah, that was
No,
that was my
no.
gripe.
It's because there wasn't a lot of explanation to anything in this movie. A lot of things didn't make sense, and immersion was broke a ton of times. And it's like it didn't know where to go. And this like it had an ending, and then it was kind of like, let's throw this scene in. This would be so cool if we did this, but it doesn't make sense, so it's not cool, dude. Like it's just
Yeah,
like
that bonus scene ruined it, honestly, to me. Like some people said that without that bonus scene, then it's not the true ending. It's like, no, that would have been a better ending if we just had seen Smoke take out those dudes,
Yes.
go with
Yep.
his wife and daughter or child. I don't know if it's a
Yep.
daughter or not, and then that's it. That's the end.
Hmm.
Adding that extra thing, you broke your lore. You broke things.
It
You know?
it didn't it felt totally misplaced to me. I
Yeah.
didn't like it. I thought it was also kind of cheesy, and I'm like, you know what? No, no, no. Have Sammy now grown up on the stage doing that, and then you're like,
That would have
yes,
been
he
fine too. Yes,
did it.
that would have been fine too.
And
Yeah.
that actually would have been, I would have been like, okay, that's cool for
Yeah, like
him.
the
He
credits are
did
rolling
it.
while he's just jamming.
Yes, I'm proud. Like he fulfilled his dream. He did
Yeah.
it anyway. But having them come back, I was just like, and why didn't they die in the flames?
Because they
Like,
ran
what, were they
away.
not outside?
They got that's the other thing. Like, where did they go? Because the sun was coming up. So where did they go?
See, another thing too, I'm like, God damn, these vampires can't keep track of time. Like he's out there outside, like, and he's supposed to be like the all king vampire. Like, he's like the master, and he doesn't fucking know the sun's gonna come up right away.
Yeah.
Would that be like one of the first things on your mind, where
Well,
you'd be like, you know what, we won't get him today. The sun's coming up. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna burst into flames. Fuck this guy. We'll get him another time. And no, he's just like, the sun's coming up, and he's just like, I need. It's like, dude, you're gonna die right now. Do you not get that? You've been doing this for so long.
yeah. There's two things I took from that moment too. One is that showed the power of the music. The music is so powerful, it's like a drug. And like an addict will just they'll suffer no because they want to get that drug. So that's how I took part of that. The other thing I thought to myself was like, oh, what if the sun doesn't affect him? Because the first time we see him, he's coming out of the sun. Like
But he's smoking though.
he
He's
is
smoking.
smoking, but the thing, like, think about that introduction of us seeing him, right? He
Yeah.
goes to that little shed where those two KK people are, like the KKK, like nephew or whatever with his wife, but they show a wide scope of the land. There's no
Hmm.
shade in all of that
No.
land. It's just open land, and he's running from somewhere, but from where we don't know. But how long has he been running in the sun, not covered? So it's like I thought to myself, like maybe he can withstand the sun, but like it's painful for him. It's just gonna hurt for a long time, and then maybe he'll slowly deteriorate. But like I thought he maybe had some kind of you know aversion to it where like it's not going to really take him out
Yeah.
like a lower vampire up in smoke, but because he's higher
Yeah.
up he can take it for a little long. That's what I thought was going to happen. It's like, oh no, it still took him out. So in turn it's like, well then earlier how did he survive? Like I don't understand how he survived in the sun for so long and he was like smoking, or maybe it's a dusk and dawn thing. Maybe when the sun's just
Hmm.
at its like coming out and going down, that's when it really hurts. But like when it's up,
Hmm.
he's fine. He could be all fine when it's like high noon. But when it's like right at the cusp, he's like, oh, now it burns. It's like a magnifying glass.
Yeah, I totally agree. With all the covers of the movies I've seen and obviously all like the ads for it, we all knew Mary was going to turn into a vampire. Like we all
Yes.
knew
Yeah, yeah.
that she was going to. Okay. I thought since it was so like known to the public in the trailer and everything that she was going to be a vampire, it wasn't like a big like surprise. I thought that she was always going to be a vampire from the beginning.
Oh,
And maybe because I'm like, well, why spoil that? Like, why spoil that for everyone when it was like
when the turn
it's supposed to be
happens.
it's supposed to be an impactful turn, man. Like I was kind of rooting for her to like get back with this guy, and I'm like, no, she's just gonna turn into a
I mean,
vampire, so I don't give a
she
shit about this
does.
girl.
She does end up with him again.
Yeah, I guess,
You could
but
say they
it's
had
just
their
you know
happy
what
ending. You
but then he's so like seems like he doesn't want anything to do with her and he's kind of mean to her and I understand he's like wants to protect her because he's a bad guy, whatever. But in my head, when I went into the movie, I'm like, maybe she is a vampire already and he knows that and she's working with the KKK. She's like, my
KKK
mother was whatever.
vampires.
I hey, th- no, I thought and I wanted so badly. Okay, because when they're getting the bar and they're setting up the bar, I wanted to see that more instead of having like a little montage at the end when everything's already happened about everyone's so happy being in the bar and building it together. I wanted to like see that in the meantime so I can care about these people and they actually die, not an after montage. I'm like, oh, now I am supposed to care about them. Now I'm seeing them happy. Show me so I care when they die. Anyway, so I was thinking when we're getting the bar and they're like really hyping up this night. They're like, we're gonna make this the best night. We're gonna do this. They're buying from this white guy. I'm like, okay, this is a trap. And
Oh
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
I thought the twins were setting a trap. for the
Oh, for them.
KKK. And
Oh.
the KK, yeah. And I was like, this is going to be so fucking good because I've seen the trailer and I see all the guns and I see all this stuff happening, this carnage. I'm like, this is going to be so fucking good. The vampires who are the KKK and the vampirism could be metaphor for the KKK. Everyone in the KKK, it painted this picture that they're all vampires. And like all in history, the KKK people are vampires. And I was like, that'd be so cool. And they knew that. And that's why they came back. And they're like, we are going to go. We're going to get money. We're going to get trained. We're going to do all this shit because we're going to go fuck with the KKK. We're going to get our money, buy the thing from them, set this trap, the music, whatever. The music could be its own thing. I don't even know. And we're all going to have this great night, even if it's our last. Even if we go down, we're going to bring the KKK with us. And this is what I thought the movie was going to be. And I thought they were going to get swarmed in the night by the KKK, and there was going to be this big frick, but who are also vampires,
Yeah.
who are all vampires, and so we can like look at them like vampires in normal day, real day, like you fucking, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like this
yeah.
evil, burn like crosses and fire. It all makes sense. Covering themselves head to toe with all these cloaks and shit. They can't be in the sun. This makes sense. So anyway, this is the
I'm
movie I
liking
wanted
this.
to see. Well, and this is, and I thought that gave Smoke and Stack so much power where like they are going to win. They're going to do it and they're going to do this honorable thing even if they go down, and they're going to get everyone to band together and they're going to go down swinging, and they're like, you know what, we're all, guess what, we were also in the war, baby, we have all these guns, and it's like it's going to be this big oh, I wanted to see it so bad. And I thought that'd be so cool. Not, but to me, it was like, oh, this aftermath shit. Like, oh, by the way, the guy he stole it from, he's from the KKK. And I'm like, okay, oh, he's gonna come, and oh, here are my guns. I'm like, why couldn't this have been the whole plan and the whole movie? And you could have had this awesome soundtrack anyway, still. You could have had this crazy metaphor for like vampirism in the KKK. And like, I don't know. Everything would have made sense. They would have been empowered. It would have been so cool. And they did something really good with the bad that they had to go through, and that maybe the bad that they've done, the bad that they've seen, and they get to redeem themselves. Like they're sinners, but this is their redemption.
It's not a
Yeah.
bad storyline. I gotta say, I like
No.
the way you crafted all that.
But when you explain everything the way you say it, I totally can see exactly why everyone, even Caitlin was telling me today all the reasons why she loved it. I'm like, I can see it. I can totally see it. I love all those reasons. I love that you love it. It didn't like hit me in the right spot, essentially. It
Okay.
didn't hit the
It didn't hit the
spot, man.
spot. It did.
It did not hit the spot. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to be sorry. This movie has not got a 100% rating. There's at least 3% of people out there who didn't like it, and you're part of the 3%. That's all. That's, I have another thing that I
Okay,
wish had
shit.
happened. There were vampire hunters in this movie. The Native Americans who came to that house looking for Remick, like
Yeah.
they knew about him, and you could tell that
Hmm.
they knew things because of their heritage.
Of
And I
course.
thought for sure they were going to come back at the end.
No.
It's like, so the ending I anticipated because of what was being presented, sure, we knew the KKK was going to come and then Smoke was going to take them out. But I thought that the natives were going to come to see, like, because they've been hunting down Remick and now they found the remains of him. And right as that's happening, they'd help Smoke out, and kind of like pincer these guys and get him from the back end. Like maybe when we think like Smoke is like he's not gonna make it, the natives come in and they're like pop pop pop, they take him out. It's like because
Mm,
these guys took their land, so it's like they got to gripe with them too, you know. And then at that moment, like maybe Smoke lives, even though him dying is actually the best ending for him. Like maybe he
yeah.
lives and he continues on with these natives and he becomes a vampire hunter too, you know. But like their story, like I feel like because I asked you earlier, can you see this world being expanded on? That's the expansion. I want to know more about the Native Americans who are hunting the vampire because they know more. They're more entrenched in what's happening here. So it's like there could be something to expand with that, and you can still have the music aspect and all that kind of stuff. So like the characters that died, yeah, they died. We don't see them anymore. But those characters, I feel like there could be more to tell. So we can get more of a vampire story. I want a vampire story. That's what I came here for. So
Hmm.
I felt like there was missed opportunities there.
Yeah. Well, we even mentioned too in the movie over, like, well, what happened to the Native Americans? Why did we just see them? Where'd they go?
Yeah,
Like, what happened to them? Like, well,
because
like,
they were
how
hunting
did they
him.
know?
They were
Yeah,
going
I
after him.
know.
So
I
I'm not thinking like
know.
they're just gonna stop it. It's like, all right, I guess we lost him. It's like, no, there's a vampire out there. They're gonna
Yeah,
continue the hunt the next day.
like even if there was some sort of a little what's the lead vampire? Remick, you said?
Remick, yeah, yeah,
Something?
Remick.
Yeah. I would have even loved to see a little flashback of him and his story. Just like a little bit of to like why he's so into this music, or like how he became a vampire, when he became a vampire. Was he in Ireland? What, like, or a backstory of like what he was doing with the Native Americans. Just like any sort of backstory at all to make me even feel or understand this villain. Because I felt like I didn't understand why you're there, what your motive is. You're saying it a little bit, but I don't feel it. Okay, you're saying the words, but I sort of some words, but I want to feel and understand like what is your like how are you so threatening? Like I didn't feel any tension or threat or anything in this movie really ever. I was just like watching it and I'm like, all right, like I didn't feel like I don't know. And like
I can, no, I can agree with that.
when
I
the
can agree. The
yeah,
vampires, even though they're vampires, they didn't feel as threatening as they could have and should have been.
no. And I just kind of like, oh, the Asian guy's like, oh, I'm gonna go outside. I'm like, well, he's dead.
Yeah,
Or this guy, I'm gonna go
yeah,
for a pee. He's dead.
yeah.
This is gonna happen. Well, they're dead. Like everyone, like there was no like, oh, I hope, like, oh, is it gonna happen? It's like, no, it's just you kind of there was no real like tension there. I didn't feel like a tension. I don't know.
Yeah. No, it would have been nice if there was a little bit extra on the motivation side. Like we know what the motivation was,
Yes.
but to see it a bit more, it felt like it just happened because they
Mm,
told us it was going to happen in the beginning.
mm,
But like, yeah, like
yes.
let's say like a 10 minute, 15 minutes extra for Remick, and like we can see him maybe being drawn to the music because he and that's how he got to like the natives. Like maybe their muse was doing their siren
Yes.
was playing the music or whatever, and he got to them. Like maybe there's a certain amount of sirens he has to take out, so he gets that much closer to the thing that he's yearning. And so like he heard it, he got to them, and they were trying to like get him, and so now they've been hunting him because he took away one of their people. And then by getting to this certain checkpoint, he's now like we see him like hearing maybe like the Sammy's music is echoing through the lands, like we don't hear it, but he hears it. The spirits hear it. And
Yeah.
that's he's being drawn to it. And
Yeah.
and
Give
that's
us
how
more
he's able to
connection.
survive some of that sun because he's just being drawn to the thing and
Yeah.
it's pulling him. So like if we got just a
Yes.
little bit of that, I would have felt that a bit more. I feel like that was missing.
Yeah, like make me feel how important this music is in this movie and why it's like attracting and why it just that there was like a lack of substance or something. I didn't care for Sinners very much. That's my thing. I'd probably give it like a five. I don't know.
Okay, I was
I
about
don't
to ask
know.
you right now. I was like, so what's your grade? So 5 out of 10?
Yeah, because there's the five where there's the technical stuff that I appreciate, and there's like some acting and everything that I appreciate, like, all that. But then there's the whole other side, how I watch movies that I didn't get or didn't feel. So that part, that big chunk is lost.
Yeah.
So I have to just give it like a mid grade because if I look through other people's eyes and be like, yeah, totally. But if I look through like how I view a movie, which again is very a personal thing and it's very like subjective.
So now I'm curious. Is Marie alone? What is that other percentage? Where is that other 3%? Are you guys listening to the show right now? Did you also not like Sinners? Did you find other things wrong with the movie besides what we talked about? Or did you love it? Is it the best film you've ever seen? Is there nothing wrong? There's no cracks in the wall. Let us know in the comments because we will talk to you and we will let you know. Maybe we'll have even more things to talk about. Maybe there's more things we
Oh
can
yeah.
pick apart with this movie because we just love talking movies, whether we love them or hate them. It doesn't matter. The conversation is
Yeah.
wonderful. So let us know in the comments. Hit us up in our social media, whether it's X, Instagram, Threads. We're there and ready to converse about everything. As always,
Yes.
or sometimes, or never, I was your host, The Coos. You can follow me at Nicolopoulos.
And I'm pickled garlic. I don't know. I just thought it was garlic.
Well, as always, like, comment, subscribe. This was not a strong start. Bonus episode. Till next time.